In this video, we're going to be doing a walkthrough of the NCMS website. We will go over how to obtain a login once you have an active NCMS account, how to update your user profile, navigate to different departments, and how to locate individual items like audits and employee lists. Now, we'll try to keep this brief, but this video might go a little bit long. I put in some bookmarks if you want to navigate to some specific sections. Located in both the scroll bar in YouTube and in the description section, there's going to be some timestamps that you can click on if there's a specific section that you'd like to jump to. The first thing that we're going to go over is how to obtain a login. The first step is you will need an already active NCMS account. This is because to obtain a login, you will need your NCMS ID. When we set up an account, we will send you an email. I got one here pulled up on the screen. It details a little of who we are, why you got the email, but it does have your NCMS ID on it. If you do not have your ID, or you do not have an already active NCMS account, please contact us. I put our contact information in the description box and also at the end of this video. Once you have your NCMS ID, there are two ways to obtain a login, either paying with a credit card online or with a check mailed to us. To get started for both, you'll need to navigate to the NCMS online login page to select the enroll option. I did put a link to this website below. This is where you will need to enter the NCMS ID. Let's go ahead, we'll get navigated over to that. I went ahead and put a link to this website in the description of the video. You'll notice on the right-hand side there's an enroll button. Let's go ahead and click that. This is where you're going to need to enter that NCMS ID you got on your email. I got one here. Let's go ahead and enter it. Click Submit. You'll see here that you need to provide some contact information along with selecting the number of employees that you will be reporting. Please note that this is the number that is not the total number of employees in your company or even in your pool. This is the total number of employees who you are reporting as performing work for the operator customer. If you have 200 employees with 100 in a drug testing pool, but only 10 will be working, you would select the less than 50 option. There are different payment options that you get by selecting either or that you will see here in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and select less than 50, and we'll just put in some test information. Go ahead and hit continue. Now you'll see here that you need to go ahead and accept the no refund policy to continue with payment. I'll go ahead and click that now. Now you will see you will be provided an option to either pay online or download an enrollment form. By clicking Pay Online, you will be taken to the online credit card processing site. Once you've completed the necessary credit card payment, your login request will be processed within 24 hours. Once you have completed this initial account setup, renewals will not take 24 hours to process and will be processed instantly. The 24-hour possible delay is only on initial account setups. If you select the Download Enrollment Form method, you will need to download the PDF. I have a copy of one up here pulled on the screen. What you'll need to do is just complete the fields and then mail this form along with your check payment to the address at the bottom. Once you have your login, you just need to navigate back to the NCMS online login page where you enrolled, but enter those details. Once you do, you'll be on the main console page or the dashboard page. This is the screen that you see right here. This will display your company name in the top left, and then depending on what account you have, your pipeline safety or client required account details. This account has both, so you'll see two sections. You may only see one depending on your account setup. For both, we detail your overall statuses and then note if you have any requested audit items pending. We'll get into each account type here in just a bit, but let's go over the toolbar over at the top. You'll see here, again, we're on the console page, and there are a few options: administration, pipeline safety, client required, and contact us. Again, you might not see pipeline safety or client required if you don't have those account types. Under the Administration tab, there are two possible options: My Profile and User Information. I say possible because you may not see the User Information section. This is an administrative level function that you may not have access to. We'll go into detail a little bit about user roles and how you might not have access to this in just a second, but let's go ahead and get started with the My Profile section. In the My Profile section, you can address your user profile. In the My Profile section, you can access your user profile. We've got your name and email address listed here. If you want, you can put your work or cell phone number, but you're not required to. There is a reset password option here where you can go ahead and change your password. Just enter your current password and the new one, and you can go ahead and change that. Back on the My Profile page, you can see here we got that NCMS ID again with your company name. We also display when your NCMS online login expires, along with giving you an option to renew it. If you do click that renew option, you'll be back on that no refund page that we went over just a little bit ago. Next, we've got your maintenance role, and this one's listed here as an administrator. And that's going to dovetail into the second option of user information. To access the user information section, simply scroll to the top, select administration from the toolbar, and we'll go ahead and select user information. As I stated before, you may not see this option if your maintenance role is not an administrator. What this user information section does is allows you to set up additional users. Here you can see that you have 4 fields to enter. Just create a username, add their first and last name, and then enter their email address. Then you can select what user role they'll need. We have a tooltip that will appear when you hover over the rules section, and it details each one of the roles. In brief, an administrator can access and edit all parts of the site in addition to creating users. A maintainer can access and edit all parts of the site but cannot create users. View only can access all parts of the site but cannot edit anything and also cannot create any users. Pre-MOB only is a special user type for those contractors performing work for specific divisions of ExxonMobil. If this type applies to you, we will have a subsequent video that details that user role. If you do not, then this role would not apply to you. For each account, you must have one administrator, but you can create however many administrators or users that you would like. Once you enter these fields and select a role, our system will send out an automatic email to that user with a temporary password. From there, they can log into the system and change that password if they like. Let me go ahead and create a user so you can see what happens. And then we're just going to enter some test information. And I'll go ahead and select a maintenance role. Now that I've got one added, you'll see here that over on the far right, there are 2 options, an edit and delete. From the edit screen, you can go ahead and change some of that information that you just entered. The delete option will allow you to delete and remove that user's access from your file. Now that we've got some of the account administration stuff out of the way, we can get into the specifics such as account types, audits, and lists. The first thing that we'll go over here is the different types of accounts you may see. There are 2 types, pipeline safety and client required. While both sites perform auditing and monitoring, they are different departments with different functions. The pipeline safety side deals with contractors and operators who perform DOT-regulated functions under the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, or PHMSA. The client-required side deals with contractors who may not fall under the PHMSA designation, however, they perform other safety-sensitive functions. Depending on your account setup, you may see one or both of these. While each are separate, each are similar in their general makeup. For example, if I navigate over to the pipeline safety side by scrolling up to the top, selecting Pipeline Safety, and then clicking View, Info, and Lists. You'll see here in the top left that we have a Contractor Information section that has your company information in it. It can list if your company uses a third-party administrator, TPA, to assist you with your drug and alcohol testing program. Another term for a TPA is a consortium. It can also list if you're a member of a pool with other contractors, which is called a consortium pool. It can also list things like if you're a member of used services of ISN or ITS. We will go over how to edit these details in our audit walkthrough, but to make edits, you need to access an update audit, and we'll have an option to edit this information. We'll go over that later, but for now, I want to point out that this contractor information section on the pipeline safety side is pretty similar to that one on the client required side. If I navigate over to the client required side by going to the top, selecting client required, and then view company info and lists, you'll see that some of it actually has some of the same information. Now you can actually have different sets of information for either account, but where you would view this information for each account is in the same spot. One of the differences, though, is that the box on the far right that says last updated, there it will show you when you last updated certain items on the client required side. There's items such as employee list, supervisor training, background check, TB list, and statistical data. If you navigate over to the pipeline safety side, again, going up to the toolbar, selecting pipeline safety and view company info and lists, you'll see that there's a similar section over on the far right. However, instead of last updated, it says additional information. It has things like date of status change, when your initial review was completed, when your last update review was completed, whatever date we might have asked for some additional information, and then finally what type of DOT programs you're currently reporting to us. The reason for the difference is that the Pipeline Safety Department, we have a shared platform for our operator clients. One audit review is shared among the operator client base. So for the pipeline safety side, you have one status, one review date, and one update review date. If we hop back over to the client required side, you'll see that this information is present, but it's just a little bit further down. It's over here in this operator section. But you will notice that there are multiple statuses and multiple operators listed. This is because on the client required side, each operator has their own audit protocols and criteria. So unlike the pipeline safety side, each audit is unique to the client and not shared. Okay, jumping over to the next section that we're going to get into is contacts. This is a pretty important section, so I want to take a few minutes to go over it. You'll see here the contacts on the client required side are located directly above the operator listings that you have. If I navigate over to the pipeline safety side, you'll see here contacts are listed directly underneath the Work for Pipeline Safety Operators list that we keep. Contacts are different than just users. You might notice that the user that we set up is actually not listed here. You might think, well, wait a minute, my user role is administrator, so why am I not listed as a contact? Contacts are a different type of user here. A contact is the main administrator for the whole account. They are, for lack of a better term, the master admins. Contacts can deactivate the entire NCMS account or portions of it. They can contact us to remove or add an operator client from their account. They can request to have users removed even if they themselves are not listed as an administrative user online. So I like to say, for the most part, all contacts are users, but not all users are contacts. You can have as many users as you like, but you can only have 3 contacts. This is due to the fact that we like to limit the number of people that can perform these master administrative functions. You can actually have different accounts that have different contacts. So, for example, you can have a different set of contacts for the pipeline safety and the client required side. The only way to add, edit, or remove a contact is either by contacting NCMS directly to request the change or to do so through an open audit. In all of our audits, which we will get to in just one second, we have a section called Contractor Information where you can change these contacts online. And just briefly, underneath the Contact section, we do have a Comment section where we can post comments for you, your users, and operator customers to see. We usually clean up these comments once a year to remove anything that's old, but if they get too much or they're a little bit too long, please let us know. We can remove some and we can clean them up. Okay, so now that we've got some of the account management stuff out of the way, let's get into the real reason you're probably here, and it's doing audits and lists. You probably have a request for an audit and need to provide some information along with various employee lists. Let's go ahead and go over audits first. On either the Pipeline Safety View Edit Company Info and List sections, there is a section in the middle and it's called Audits. You can see here that in my audit section, I have an open audit. For the audit section, it will default to open audits, but there is a toggle in the left where you can move from open to complete or closed audits. By doing so, you can pull older information or review previous audits and comments. For each audit, there is an audit ID. This is a helpful ID if you are contacting us for assistance. It just simply helps us pull the audit a little bit quicker. There is a status of the audit, and it could be something as pending if you have not activated the audit or submitted us any information. Once you do submit something to us and say we reject it for changes, that status would be moved to incomplete to know that the audit has been started but just not completed yet. Once you complete the audit, it will be moved over to satisfactory. We have a start date, so you can see the initial date we started up the audit. And then we have a due date along with the date that the audit was last updated. You'll notice a View hyperlink on the far left in the audit section. Let's go ahead and click that, and then we'll go ahead and get into the audit. I want to provide some navigational instructions on this audit, but not specifics on how to complete each item. That will be in another video or videos covering each audit item. Once I've clicked this View button, I will be on the instruction page for the audit. This is the screen that you see here. Over on the left, we have a checklist of items that we're currently asking for in this audit. We will change these options depending on the type of audit that's being performed. New audits may have 12 to 13 specific items and forms, whereas a semi-annual audit may just be 2 or 3. The field verification audit may only be 1 or 2. It just depends on what type of audit we're doing at the time. To navigate through the audit, there are some blue Start Audit or Save buttons located at the bottom of each item. You can see here that I have a Start button. Let's go ahead and click that, and I'll be on this Company Information section. If I scroll down to the bottom, you'll notice here there's that blue Save button. As you're going through an audit, you can save your progress to come back at a later date. Once you've completed all necessary steps and click Save, the audit item will have a green check mark that appears. It appears on this Contractor Information section. My type of work is blank. I'm going to go ahead and just enter that I do general work. Oops, spell general right. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to go ahead and click Save. You'll see here I now have a green check mark. To complete an audit, you'll need to have a green check mark for each item. Once you get to the audit review section, again, if all items have a green check mark, then you could submit the audit to us. You can use the Save function to save maybe a partially completed audit item, or when you complete the audit item to submit to NCMS. Again, I won't go over each audit item as that would make this already long video even longer. But I've been in the pipeline safety side, but the client required is pretty similar. Let me go over to that side. Again, client required. We'll click View Edit Company Info and Lists. And we'll scroll down and you'll see actually I have a few audits and each one has that same View button along with in the Open Audits toggle I can move to Complete. Now, often an audit item is some type of list. It could be an employee list, a list of your trained supervisors, or perhaps a list of those that have completed a background check. Depending on your account type, you will have a few lists that you need to maintain. I'm still on the client required side, and if I scroll down, you'll see that this account has 4 lists. A list of employees that have completed drug and alcohol testing, a list of employees that have completed a background check, employees that have completed TB or tuberculosis testing, and supervisors that have completed supervisor training. If I hop back over to the pipeline safety side, scroll up to the top, from the toolbar, select Pipeline Safety, and then View Edit Company Info and Lists. We'll scroll down, and this account again has 2 lists, a covered employee list with drug test dates, and supervisor training. Now you can add, edit, or delete employees from these lists by either accessing an open audit or by going into the specific list. Again, I'm on the pipeline safety side and I got this employee list section, and you'll see I have an employee listed here. There are 3 buttons on the far right. My list is current, add, and upload. We will cover that upload feature in just a sec, but let's go over manually updating the list first. In this employee list section, let's click this add button and the add an employee box will pop up. You just need to enter these fields and some test dates. I'll go ahead and put a test one in now. You will see that there are 2 fields on this employee list section that ask for ISN or ITS IDs. Those are 2 third parties that we can link into. If your employees have their own employee ISN or ITS IDs, you can enter them here. What will happen is each day we send a feed over to ISN and ITS. If you put their IDs in here, we will link to that employee account and update any testing information that you have. If you do not have these types of accounts, you can always leave these fields blank. Let's go ahead, we'll click this add button, and you'll see now I've got my test employee that showed up. You will also notice that next to each employee listing on the far right, there are 2 buttons, edit and delete. Kind of self-explanatory, but by clicking the edit button, it will pull up that same screen you saw a few seconds ago to add an employee, but it has the employee info that you've already entered. You can just simply make whatever edits that you'd like and then click the save button. The delete option will obviously remove that employee from your list. And just something I want to say is that I've said that this was the manual way to edit a list. We do have another option where your drug testing company or TPA can send us a list automatically on your behalf. That way, the updating is both taken care of for you and done automatically. If you use this option, you really can't add, edit, or delete employees from the employee list. This is because whatever changes you make will be undone when your drug testing company sends us a new list. I will show you how you can check to see if this option is activated on your account, but for now, I just wanted to talk about the automatic uploading system. And just to be clear, this automatic system is not for all lists. Right now, it's just the employee and supervisor training lists. All other lists must be manually updated. Now, there is an option on the far right of My List is Current that you can also click. Oftentimes, you may not have any updated information to add, but want to demonstrate that you've reviewed the list and it is up to date. If that is the case, just click that button and you'll notice on the far left underneath the title that the updated field will update. And all lists generally work this way. If I scroll down to the supervisor training section list, you'll see those same 3 options on the far right. You will also see that this entry has an edit and delete option as well. Now, uploading a list works a little bit different. Each list type has an upload option with it. This allows you to upload a single list instead of manually adding or deleting users. To facilitate an upload, you need to use the corresponding template. You can access the upload feature by clicking Upload in each item or by going to the toolbar at the top, selecting your department, clicking Import Lists, and then selecting the option that you would like. Well, let's go ahead and we'll select Import Employee List. I'm on the upload feature now, and you'll notice that there are 3 options on the right-hand side. The upload history will allow you to see any items uploaded into this portal. Download empty template will download a copy of the actual template to your desktop for you to edit. Or you can click Download Current List, and what happens is that it downloads whatever information that you have on the list onto the template. Then you can make whatever edits you like and upload the list back without having to recreate the whole list. Now, once you have your list ready to go, just click into the Select area and navigate to your list and upload it. I'll go ahead and I'll do that now. I have a list here. We'll click this Import button. It tells me that my DOT covered employee list has been successfully imported. You need to make sure that you use the actual Excel templates that you download here and not a different version or type. I'll go ahead and show you what happens if you don't select something like the Excel sheet. I have a PDF here. You'll notice here this red dot pops up and nothing happens. Nothing's going to import, and again, you're going to have to use the actual Excel file. You'll see here, I'm going to click Remove. I'll then try navigate back over to the Excel file, click it, Import, and it should import. Now, you may get an error when you import. You might not have a right test type, or maybe there's a date wrong. I'll go ahead and demonstrate that. Click the Import button. You'll notice here I'm getting an error notice that the test type is not valid in row 7. Now, I need to correct these errors, and we'll go ahead and try this import again. Now, briefly, I said earlier that if you want to know if your list is being auto-fed, I said there was a way. When I click this import option, it allows me to continue. If your list is being auto-managed by your testing provider, this feature will actually be disabled, and a notice will prompt you stating that your drug testing provider is auto-feeding your list. I got a copy of what that looks like pulled up here on the screen. If you see this notice, your list is being auto-fed by your testing provider, and if that's the case, you need to contact them about changes or updates to the list. Okay, on to our final item, and that is subcontractors. For both account types, we have a drop-down for subcontractors. You might be a main contractor with subs, or maybe a subcontractor with mains. Either or, we have a method to check on the status of your subcontractors, or to check who has access to your account. If I select from the top menu, Pipeline Safety, then Subcontractors, then View Primary Contractors, this would be the view if we have a main contractor who is asking to view your information. You can see on the far right there is a Grant Access option. Once NCMS has connected a subcontractor to a main, that main must request the sub grant them access. We'll go over that here in just a bit, but here you can see that it's asking me to grant access. Once you click that, you'll then click OK, and your main contractor will now have access to your account. You can at any time revoke the main's access, but if you want to remove them from your list, you need to contact us. Now, if you're a main contractor, we're going to go back up to the menu, select Subcontractors, but we're going to select View Subcontractors. Here, you can see I have a sub listed who has granted me access. If they had not granted me access, this granted box would actually say Request. When you click it, it will send a notice to that sub that you're wanting access. Once that sub has granted access, you can view their account by clicking this View option. There, you can verify their overall status along with the testing of the employees. If you want to add a new subcontractor, there is an Add option in the far right. Once you click that, you just enter the sub's information, tell us who they're working for, and who we can contact. Once done, this sub would be added to your list, and then you would need to request access. Now, back on the list, again, to remove a sub from this list, you would need to contact us. And And finally, the last section that we have is our Contact Us page. It's the last tab up here at the toolbar. We put all of our auditors' information along with our supervisor and manager's direct contact information. If you know the person that you'd like to talk to, you can go ahead and for sure reach out to them. Or if you do not know the specific person that you would like to talk to, we have a Contact Us page where you can select your department, leave your message, and somebody will get right back with you. Well, I know this video got a little bit long, but I sure hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let us know.